Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly transformative concept from a classic personal finance philosophy. The core theme? Work to learn, don't work for money. Listen, if you've ever felt totally trapped in the daily grind, just spinning your wheels but not actually getting ahead financially, well, this is exactly what you need to break that cycle. We're going to completely shift our focus from just earning to learning. All right, let's dive right in. So let me ask you a pretty direct question. Can you cook a better hamburger than McDonald's? Honestly, if I asked a room full of people this, almost every single hand would shoot up. And chances are, you probably can too. You've likely got the culinary skills to whip up a way tastier, higher quality burger than a giant fast food chain. But that brings us to the ultimate punchline. Then why does McDonald's make more money than you? The answer is simple, but it's actually incredibly profound. McDonald's wins because they are absolutely excellent at business systems. Look, they might not make the absolute best hamburger in the world, but they are the undisputed best at selling and delivering a basic, average burger. They aren't just fixated on perfecting the product. They focus on mastering the entire system that moves it. And, this perfectly highlights a totally frustrating paradox. The world is literally full of smart, talented, highly educated people who are just struggling financially. The source text gives us two amazing examples of this. First, there's a brilliant newspaper reporter in Singapore. She had a master's degree in English literature, but she just couldn't get her fantastic novels published. Then there's a highly talented artist in Hawaii. He inherited $35,000, blew the whole shebang on a single magazine ad campaign that got zero replies, and lost everything. These folks are absolutely brilliant at their specific craft, building the hamburger, so to speak, but they completely lack the business systems to actually sell it. So, what's the missing ingredient here? Well, a medical business consultant captured this beautifully. He noticed how many highly educated professionals, like doctors and dentists, were struggling with money, and he said, they are one skill away from great wealth. Think about that. What this means is that most people just need to learn and master one single additional skill, usually something related to business or sales, and their income could jump exponentially. This whole idea actually builds into two totally different competing mindsets. On one side, you've got what's called the educated dad philosophy. This approach highly values job security and really intense specialization. The thought process here is that schools reward people who study more and more about less and less. It's the kind of path that often leads folks to seek the protection of labor unions because they become so overly dependent on one highly specific skill. But then, on the flip side, is the rich dad mindset. Now, this philosophy focuses on learning a little about a lot. Instead of getting hyper-specialized, it prioritizes synergy, understanding different skills and bringing smart people together. Now, we aren't taking sides here, but it's absolutely crucial to see how these two very different approaches can shape an entire career. Now, brace yourself for a bit of a brutal reality check about the traditional workplace. According to the text, JOB is actually an acronym for just over broke. And for millions of people, sadly, this hits the nail on the head. Because our traditional education systems don't treat financial intelligence as a real intelligence, most workers just end up living right at their means. They work just hard enough so they don't get fired, and the owners pay just enough so the workers won't quit. And that exact dynamic creates the classic hamster wheel. Workers get super focused on short-term rewards, like their immediate paycheck and benefits. They land a secure job, and before they know it, they're trapped in this lifelong cycle of just paying bills. They become exactly like little hamsters. Their legs are spinning furiously on that metal wheel, constantly chasing that annual raise. But guess what? Come tomorrow morning, they are still in the exact same cage. It's the classic rat race. Okay, so how on earth do we break out of that cage? The answer is financial intelligence. But according to the text, financial intelligence isn't just one isolated thing. It's actually a really powerful synergy of four specific technical skills: accounting, investing, marketing, and law. When you manage to combine these four areas, suddenly making money with money becomes significantly easier than most people would ever believe. Let's actually trace what this looks like in the real world by looking at Robert Kiyosaki's totally counterintuitive career path. First off, he took a job with Standard Oil. Now, he didn't do this for the paycheck. He did it specifically to study international trade. Then, just 6 months later, he purposely quit that nice, secure job and joined the Marine Corps. Why? To learn leadership. Because as he realized, managing people is basically the hardest part of business. Finally, he resigned his commission and went to work for Xerox. Now, he was terrified of selling, but Xerox happened to have the absolute best sales training program in America. He stuck around just long enough to conquer his fear of rejection and become a top earner. And then he quit again to start his own company. He literally went from stop to stop, purposely acquiring specific business skills along the way. Which brings us right back to the story of that frustrated Singapore reporter we talked about earlier. Remember, she had a master's in English literature. She was a phenomenally talented writer. But she got highly offended when someone suggested she take sales training. She kind of viewed salespeople as beneath her. But here's the kicker. The author's book cover says best-selling author, right? Not best writing author. If she had just combined her amazing product, her writing, with the skill of selling, she could have absolutely achieved her dreams. Knowing how to sell your product is literally just as vital as the product itself. So to make all this work, the source text identifies 3 foundational management systems that you absolutely must master if you want to succeed in business. Number 1, the management of cash flow. Number 2, the management of systems. And number 3, the management of people. Whether you're trying to build a massive international empire or you're just getting a small side hustle off the ground, these 3 pillars are your engine. You can't just be good at your specific trade. You've got to know how to manage these exact systems. But actually driving those systems, that requires 2 ultimate skills: selling and marketing. The text makes it incredibly clear that the ability to sell, which when you boil it down just means the ability to communicate effectively with another human being, whether that's a customer, an employee, a boss, or even your family, is the absolute base skill of personal success. The better you get at communicating, negotiating, and most importantly, overcoming your fear of rejection, the easier your entire life becomes. Now, there's one more really profound difference between these 2 mindsets, and it's all about how we handle generosity. The rich dad philosophy operates on this principle of give to receive. Think of families like the Rockefellers or the Fords. This mindset believes that to receive money, you actually have to give money away first. It makes charitable giving a core fundamental practice. On the flip side, the educated dad approach operates on receive to give. The thinking there is, well, when I have some extra money, then I'll give it away. The fatal flaw there? There is rarely ever any extra, which just keeps people trapped, working harder and harder, trying to draw more money in. All right, moving into our final section here, the capstone. Let's summarize the lessons learned and exactly what you should do next. Let's quickly recap the core lessons we've covered. First, don't work for money. Instead, seek out jobs specifically for what they're going to teach you. Second, avoid overspecialization. Unless you're planning to join a labor union for protection, specializing way too much just traps you in a super narrow field. Third, learn business systems. Always remember why McDonald's is so incredibly successful. Fourth, master sales and marketing, because communication is your most vital tool. And finally, give money to receive money. The big overarching philosophy here is that synergy, pulling multiple different skills together, is vastly more powerful than just specializing in one single thing. So the crucial question now is, how do you actually take action? Well, here are the exact steps recommended by the text to break out of that hamster wheel. Step 1, take a really long view of your life and figure out exactly what skills you're currently missing. Step 2, go get a second job specifically to learn a new skill. The source even suggests joining a network marketing company just so you can use their training programs to learn how to sell. Step 3, conquer your fear of rejection. That fear is literally the main reason people hold themselves back. And step 4, be generous. Teach what you know or give some money away first. And that brings us to the most provocative question of this entire explainer. I want you to ask yourself honestly right now, are you working to build a better hamburger, or are you actually learning to build the business? If your entire focus is only on perfecting the hamburger, you're eventually going to get outpaced by someone who just has a better system. I really hope this leaves you hungry to apply these principles. Go out and start learning those systems today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.